Hello, everyone. This is Dawn Takacs coming to you from downtown Pittsburgh. This podcast is the point where we talk everything wedding planning in the city of Pittsburgh and beyond. Today, this podcast is for our newly engaged couples, and you may be so thrilled and exhilarated and excited, and you're not quite sure where to start in this process. And I'm here to help. I've got 10 hot takes and tips for you for your engagement of where to start, what to do, and moving forward so that you have everything lined up so that you can have a picture perfect wedding. So if that sounds like you, stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe. Click the link below. Leave us a comment below when you got engaged and show us your ring if you're on Facebook or one of our social media platforms. So my name is Dawn. I have been an event planner. For those of you that are new, I welcome you. I have been an event planner doing weddings, corporate events, private events for the better part of 30 years. And I've seen everything. I've worked in every venue in the city of Pittsburgh and beyond. We've done events in Washington, D.C., Cleveland, Philadelphia. We've been as far north as New York. Like, we have a vast geographic area that we work. And through the years, I've learned a lot. And the Pittsburgh Brides Podcast, the point, is all about sharing information with you so that I can help you execute and have an amazing wedding. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into my first of my 10 hot takes. First, number one, you have a new ring on your hand. Take a moment, breathe, enjoy, relax, pour yourself an adult beverage, spend a little time snuggled up to your new love or your newly engaged fiance. It's been in love probably for a while, but just savor this moment. This moment's going to go by so fast, and before you know it, you're going to be flying off, jet setting somewhere on your honeymoon. And I want you to take pause and then just enjoy this moment. You can start wedding planning in the weeks to come. You do not have to do it day one or day two. So just take a little moment, pause, and enjoy this moment with your love. The next thing I'm going to suggest is that you go to pittsburghbrides.com and you download our free timeline and guide that's going to outline everything that you need to do for your wedding from A to Z up to 24 months. Timeline is very exact, point by point, that will help walk you through the process. And yes, you can do this. Anyone can do this. If you follow our tips and our guide, we can get you there and we can make sure that you have a spectacular wedding day. Right now that you've had an adult beverage and a chance to celebrate with your love, and you're showing everybody the new bling on your hand on every social media platform that exists, and you're elated by all the dopamine of knowing that you're finally engaged and you're getting married, and you have a vision in your mind and you want to start executing and planning, and that's natural. It's 100% natural, and you really should embrace this moment. But there are some things that I'm going to suggest to you. These are my 10 tips for you. Number one was what? Breathe, relax. You got this. Enjoy, embrace the moment. Download that planning and guideline list from pittsburghbrides.com. I'm going to drop the link below, and I am going to offer a coupon code for you so you can get that free copy. Second, I want you to start talking with your love about the B word. And it's a word that's not fun. It's not fun in the wedding planning process, but it's necessary, and it's budget. You really need to wrap your head around your budget and get an understanding of where you are financially and where you would like to be on your wedding day and what that looks like. And I know it can be such an overwhelming term and word, but if you don't start now and you just start buying and booking and planning and you get halfway through, you can find out that weddings are a lot more expensive than you ever anticipated. So it's really important that you start right now with your budget and have a heart to heart with your love and say, okay, What can we afford? What resources do we have to offer to our wedding day? Are we getting any contributions from families and friends? Is that included in our budget? Do we have a clear vision of what we want for our wedding and how much that we're going to allocate to each particular item? And some tools out there that you can easily Google, like what percentage of your budget should go to this or to that or to your venue or vendors. I'm going to tell you, every geographic location is different. It's going to be different to host a wedding in New York City or New Jersey or North Carolina or Florida than it is here in Pittsburgh. So, some of those platforms that offer percentages and how to break that down, is it relevant to Pittsburgh? Because Pittsburgh is very different than those other cities. And we have things that apply here that maybe they do not apply elsewhere or even outside of Allegheny County. So it's really important that you start with what can we afford, and then let's start working on step three. Step three is I want you to sit down with your love and say, let's do a guest list, because that's the very first thing that you need to do when you start developing a budget. Because without knowing how many guests are going to be invited to your wedding, you really don't know what kind of venue you should be shopping for, because venues are going to be limited by space and capacity. And, some venues will hold 125 guests, some will hold 200, some will hold 500. And price points are going to be based on guest count and location. Obviously, a location inside the city is going to be a little bit more than something remotely outside of the city. These are all things that you need to consider when you're planning your wedding. And you really need to also decide if you're going to have, are we going to have plus ones, or is it going to be strictly invitation only and only those named on the list? Are we going to allow children? All of these things are going to break down and help you assess exactly what you need for your budget. And knowing an estimate within 10%, either way, 150 people for your wedding, going to 165 or going down to 135, knowing how many people that you're inviting to your wedding is going to help you assess your budget even further and redefine it. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. So I had a friend recently. I just did a 50th birthday party for his wife, and I asked him what his budget was. He said, Dawn, I don't know what my budget is. I said, okay. He's like, I don't even know the scope of what my budget could be. Like, it could be, I have no idea. I just don't know what I don't know. And I feel like there's a lot of couples out there that are in that same place, that they just don't know where to even begin on this, because you can have weddings anywhere from, the average wedding they say in Pittsburgh's around 35,000. I think that number is a little low, but it can be as high as 500,000 depending on the venue and where you decide to have your wedding. And so I think bringing it back to what I had told David when we spoke, I was like, David, you really have to break it down and think about taking friends out for dinner. If you were taking another couple out to dinner and you were going to take them to to a show and offer some entertainment, what does that look like? What does that bill look like for you to take that couple out? Is it 150, 175 a head? Is it 200 a head? What do you expect that bill to be? And now I want you to take that number and equate it to your wedding. And that should kind of give you a little bit of a balance of what you think that would be. Now, obviously, if you take friends out to, let's say, Mission Barbecue, I love Mission Barbecue, and you go see a comedy show, and you could probably do that for about $100 per person. You have a guest list of 100 people, probably looking around 10,000 in order for you to do your wedding at that venue, to cover your food, your bar, and a little bit of entertainment, be it a DJ or something to that effect. But if you're taking them to Monterey Bay up on Mount Washington, and then you're going to the Benedum or one of our amazing theaters to go see a show, you're probably looking at something of more like 150, 175 for dinner, and then add in another 125 or so for entertainment. So you're looking at a little higher ticket there, somewhere between 250 to 300 a person. And it's all relevant. And I know these numbers can sound crazy to some of us. Money is relevant to where you are and where your budget is. But this is just a future perspective of what you can anticipate. And I see catering all over the place. It can be anywhere from 45 a person to 175 a person. And sometimes that includes bars, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes catering is in-house at a venue, and sometimes you have to bring it in externally as well as the bar. So all of these things are relevant. But at the end of the day, if you don't know what your spend is or what your budget is, what you have to allocate to your venue, your catering, your bar, if you choose to have a bar, and there's no shame in not having one. I heard someone once say that you can't have a wedding without a bar. I've been to plenty of dry weddings. That is, I think, something that's specific to you as a person and the decision that you need to make. That stated, you still need to go back to what can we afford? What number are we comfortable with? And now keep in mind that this number doesn't include all the other things that you need for your wedding, such as the other wedding festivities, your rehearsal dinner, your bachelorette parties, your bridal shower, your attire, your dresses, your bridal party attire, your rings, your honeymoon. There's all these other things that you have to allocate and keep within your budget. And I think sometimes couples will come out of the gate and they're so excited and they know what venue they want and they're just ready to book and ready to move forward. And they really didn't take the time to pause and say, hey, wait a minute. I want to know how much entirely that I want to spend on my wedding before I start booking anything. And that's going to lead me to the next step, step number 4. And there's going to be a lot of different opinions on this one. It's critically important that you consider or hire a wedding planner or day of coordinator. And here's why. A lot of people think that hiring a coordinator or a day of planner is something that is un- just out of your budget. It's just something that is an expense that I don't need. I can plan myself. I'm a good organized person. I'm a professional. I'm a project manager. I can plan my own wedding. What they don't realize that if you hire a wedding planner early in the process, I guarantee you that wedding planner is going to save you money. They're going to save you time, energy, money, and future headaches down the road. Because a wedding planner that's established is going to be able to look at these contracts and say, you know what, you really don't need this, this, and this. And you should consider maybe doing this option instead of that for florals, and it's going to save you some money. I guarantee you, whatever you spend on a wedding planner, you will save not only in time, but in energy and money and aggravation further on down the road. And do yourself a favor, at the very least, at this point, at least interview a few. I don't know how many times I've heard couples say, I need a wedding planner, and they're 3 months away. The horse has left the barn. They're already way in over their heads. They're oversaturated with wedding planning. They have a full-time job, and they didn't realize that planning a wedding is a full-time job. Like, you need some assistance, and asking your friends and family to step up for you, that's asking them to take on a full-time job, right? There's a lot involved in that. And a wedding planner or a coordinator or a day of coordinator is your advocate. They are your person. They go to bat for you. They're going to help you keep everything not only organized, but priced fairly. Make sure that you're not purchasing too much for catering or that you're not extending too much on allocated for the particular venue. I like the idea of you having a venue coordinator on retainer before you book a venue because they'll be able to negotiate that contract. I recently just talked to one of our wedding planners that she had to go in and renegotiate a contract for a couple. They had almost $15,000 in charges of things that they were never going to use for their wedding. Very elaborate and luxurious wedding. But she ended up saving them almost $15,000 because she had to go back in and like renegotiate this wedding to bring it down to something that was within their budget. So, wedding planner, if you don't hire one, do yourself a favor, inquire. Ask questions, ask for a Zoom, get to know somebody that you vibe with. Because I guarantee you, I promise you this, they will save you money. They will save you time. A good wedding planner has your back at all costs. And they will also help you figure out your budget and, what's good as far as your guest count and your budget and making sure that everything matches up. Now I'm going to move on to number 5, venue tours. There's no sense in touring a venue until you have a planner, have a budget, and know what your guest list is. You got to have those 3 things. Otherwise, you're kind of like driving with a blindfold. You really don't know what you need until you know what you need. There's no sense in looking at a venue that only hosts 125 when you are going to have 175 for your wedding. So I'm telling you, make sure that you have that guest count and you have that budget before you even email any venue coordinators and tour any venues, and also make sure that you loop a wedding planner in. If you are going to utilize a wedding planner, and you should, loop them in the beginning. It's so critically important because the way they save you money is by making sure that 2 and 2 equals 3 whenever they're planning your wedding, not 2 and 2 equal 5, or for you booking more than you actually need, right? All right, so now I'm going to move on to number 6. This is number 6. This is so important. This one is so overlooked by so many people, and you need to do this. The minute you write a check to somebody, whether it's a venue, a wedding planner, a DJ, anyone that you write a check to, the very next call you make should be to my friend Kayla Busby, who is an insurance agent and she specializes in wedding insurance. And yes, that is a thing. And yes, it's incredibly affordable. Why do you need it? None of us think that we need insurance, right? But you do, because the world today that we live in is uncertain times, dangerous times. A lot of things are happening. Venues are closing. People are going out of business. People are ghosting and going MIA. I'm not saying that you're not savvy smart and you're not going to choose great vendors, or that wedding planner is going to be your advocate and help you choose great vendors. What I'm saying is bad things happen to good people, and the cost of wedding insurance is so minute compared to the amount of money that you're going to spend that you would be remiss not to include it into your budget. I mean, we're talking like $200 for wedding insurance for deposits up to $20,000. If you have $100,000 wedding, you're talking maybe up to $800, $1,000, but it is money in the bank if that venue closes, or a hurricane comes through and closes all the roads in Pittsburgh and you can't get to a wedding, or the photographer ghosts you and goes MIA, or the makeup artist keeps giving you the runaround in emails, or they are ghosting you. And these things happen. They've happened in even some of the upper tiers of service. We've seen really bad things happen. I had a bride recently who booked her sister's photographer because she loved her. A year went by, she had paid her in full, and then the photographer ended up in jail for a felony and had her money and no way to do her wedding. Wedding insurance would have covered it, and she would have at least got her money back and been able to book somebody else. So, critically important. Kayla Busby, I'm going to drop her name in the link below. I also did a podcast with her. I'll drop that up here for you so that you can learn a little bit more about wedding insurance. Mom, dad, any parents that are listening to this podcast, it's a good investment. It is so affordable. And really, like in times such as these, we just don't know what can happen. So I think it's critically important to buy wedding insurance, not just explore it, buy it. Make sure that you cover your wedding. And so next I want to go into baking the cake. And I'm using this analogy. When I start designing a party, I get all excited. I want to add the bling and the flowers and the glitz and the glam. And I like my inner creative person just can't wait to start buying things and creating that experience. But if you decorate the cake before you bake it, the cake is going to fall flat. And what I mean by this is do not go to the marketplace and start buying everything that you see. Because I'm telling you, this is another way that wedding planners are going to save you money. There are things that they may have in their inventory that you can use. The venue may have lanterns that you can use and linens. You don't know what you don't know. Hold off. I know you want to decorate that cake. I know you have a vibe for your wedding. And I want you to have exactly what you want for your wedding. But I also want you to not be stuck with a bunch of stuff that you got to sell to somebody else. And let me tell you something about those marketplaces on Facebook. They're constant. All the time. People are buying and selling. So if you see something you love, chances are you're going to see it again. So don't be so trigger happy in buying things because you're going to be allocating space to store it until your wedding. You're not even sure that maybe your wedding planner or your venue can help you with some of those things. So that's tip number 7. Now I'm going to go into vendors. Tip number 8. I think one of the very first vendors that you should hire for your wedding is your photographer. And you need to do your due diligence. There are literally thousands of photographers in Pittsburgh. And I have pre-qualified and pre-vetted all of those that are on our website, pittsburghbrides.com. I'm going to drop a link for you. And we made sure that they have a business license and insurance and a reputation online that is well received from everyone. But this is a very difficult decision because you want to match up aesthetics and style with price and credibility and reputation, and you want to make sure that you get what you want for your wedding day. And that's not easy with a photographer. So my tips for you are vet everyone. Make sure that you get referrals. Ask for the emails of the most recent weddings that they've done and ask if you can reach out to couples that they worked with because the photographer might be an amazing photographer, but be an a-hole on set and really have ticked off the whole family, right? I've heard this story before too. Super talented, super rude. Make sure that you're Zooming and you're getting to know people that before you hire them. That's another important fact in all of this, that there's the God only knows or the what if factor. And when you're shopping for photographers or makeup artists or DJs or any of those day of typically services, people that are archiving your wedding, they're capturing the moment. Make sure that you read the contracts thoroughly and that you don't just, click to reply and send money and yes, I'm booking you. Make sure that you read them, you understand them, and that you ask questions. And one of the questions you should ask is the what if or the God only knows. And this one is super important because we all just don't know what could happen in the future. I could be booking a wedding that's 2 years out and something could happen to my husband and or myself and we just don't know. And I think that's something really important to ask your photographers. I'm booking you, it's 2 years away. What if something happens? What if something happens to you when you leave my wedding and you have all my content and, you say it's going to be 4, 6 months for me to get my content back. What if I don't get it back by then? These are fair questions. And I think a lot of times couples are just so inspired by an artist and they're quick to sign. They don't ask questions to protect themselves. And I want you to ask questions to protect yourself on your contract. And don't be afraid to ask them to add an amendment to the contract that says, you know what? I agree that I'm going to get my content within 4 months. But if I do not get my content within 4 months, then what? Do I get my money back? Do I get part of my money back? Do you assign the raw images to me, or do you assign those raw images to a photographer that can edit them in a style that you're happy with to execute to send to me? Now, I know every photographer out there is probably like, they have steam coming out of their ears if they're watching this. But the reality is, I'm here for the brides. I'm here for the grooms. I'm here for the soonly-weds. And these things happen. Photographers go MIA. Photographers go to jail. One photographer recently, his house was raided by the FBI and 50 couples in Pittsburgh lost the footage from their wedding. This SHIT happens. And if you're going to book your vendors yourself and you're not taking advice or referrals from a wedding planner, you need to just cross your T's, dot your I's, and make sure that you've covered all your bases. Because at the end of the day, you could be one of those 50 couples that lost their footage from their wedding. And I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to have a successful day and have everything that you expected and more. And you can start by shopping our photographers on pittsburghbrides.com. I have pre-qualified, pre-vetted all of them, and all of them have a contingency plan in the event that something would happen to them. So here's another hot topic: makeup artists. In the city of Pittsburgh recently, we had one company in particular that, for whatever reason, and this is just an opinion on my part, I have no firsthand knowledge, but we have had multiple brides complain about this one makeup artist who booked them, was really excited and enthusiastic and communicated well with them, and everything was going fine. And then when it came down time to do their trial before their wedding, whether that was 4 months, 3 months, 2 months out, the makeup artist ghost the brides and rescheduled or canceled any of these trial appointments or preview appointments that they call them now. And there was this pattern happening of her just perpetually, like, basically ghosting the brides. And it was causing a lot of anxiety. I did a podcast on that. I'll pop that up. I interviewed one of the brides, but we're talking like multiple brides, like dozens of brides that this has happened to. And they messaged me. She's not a member of our group, but she is local, and she just caused a firestorm of problems. And that stated, like, it's really important for you to book your makeup artist soon because they book up quickly. And depending on the size of your wedding party, you need to get all of your ducks in a row. But I want you to make sure, that they have a license on the SOS, that they have a cosmetology license or an esthetician's license. That's very important because you at least know that they know how to protect you while they're working on you, and that they're not causing any infectious diseases or anything that's going to give you pink eye on your honeymoon, right? And then you also want to really dive deep into those reviews when you're reading them. I mean, a couple of these brides that had problems, they read the reviews and they read that there were bad reviews and they booked her anyways. And I'm like, well, you got some accountability there. Like, if you read that there was a negative review and you booked her anyways, like, is that on her or is that on you? Like, there's such a thing as giving grace to people when they're going through hard times, but you also have to use like common sense. Like, you should be looking for great reviews. And again, ask for 3 emails of 3 referrals. Brides that love what their experience was on their wedding day are so excited to brag about it, and especially right after the wedding, right? So that's something that you want to ask your makeup artist that you're considering. And also, when you go to Instagram and you're looking at everything there and you're checking them out, look for diversity. Look for them doing, not every bride has the same profile, same look. They're Kardashian gorgeous. Look for some renders of brides that they did from all ethnicities, from all sizes, from all demographics. Look for that, because otherwise that might be a little red flag as well. And I could go on and on and on about the makeup artists because there's so many of them. Everybody that picks up a makeup brush thinks they're a makeup artist. So protect yourself. Look them up. Go to the cosmetology. I'll drop the link for you. I think it's PALS, PALS.gov. And you can actually type in their name and you can see if they have a license. You can also see if that license has any violations, like it's been expired or anything like that. Really good information for you. And then read reviews, ask for referrals, do your good due diligence on this one, because that one can really, I had one bride say she canceled the night before my wedding. Like, I can't even believe that anyone would have the audacity to do that. Like, again, opinion, it's not firsthand knowledge, but that's pretty bodacious to do something like that, right? Oh, by the way, I'm not going to be there. And that brings me back to know your artist. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. Number 10, know your artist. When you book your photographer and you book your makeup artist and say you book a DJ through a DJ service, make sure that they connect you directly with who your artist is. Don't let that be vague. Don't let that be unknown, because if you're booking a certain DJ and you want that DJ, make sure that they've made that commitment that that's the DJ that you're getting, or the makeup artist that you're getting. Or if you're booking a photographer or photography group and you're booking Laurel Mountain Photography and you know that you want Anastasia, you want her to be your lead on your wedding day, make sure that you have that in writing, that you know who your point of contact is. This whole journey is going to be so much smoother if you know that, because you're not going to be wondering like, oh, I booked this company, but I don't know, is that person going to be my DJ or not? Or am I going to have somebody that I've never had a conversation with? And it's really important to get on a Zoom call and connect with them and get a vibe for them, because on your wedding day, it's going to go by so quickly. And you're going to blink and it's going to be over. And you're going to be like, oh, that work. And it's over. And we tell all of our couples this, like, making sure that you know your vendors and that you get to know them and do a Zoom call with them or meet them for a cup of coffee is so critically important, because you want to be able to like delegate and let them do their thing that day. And you want to know that they have your back and that you feel comfortable working with them. I can't tell you how many sad stories I've heard from brides that said, yeah, she did really great makeup, but she was a witch to my mother-in-law. Like, you really want to make sure that you click with each other, that there's a chemistry and that you can work together. So another really important tip for you. And I'm going to close here with number 10, and that is the importance of protecting your investment. Make sure that even if you found someone on Instagram or Pinterest or PittsburghBrides.com or our Facebook group, Facebook groups/Pittsburgh Brides, if you found them, make sure that if you like them and you want to book them, make sure the minute that you decide that you want to book them, that you take the entire conversation to email. And I'm going to tell you why. We have a tendency like to do everything with our thumbs, and we're chatting with everybody and we're just going to send them a Zelle or a Cash App payment. Like, that is not really the best way to go for you, for the couples. And I'll tell you why. DMs, Facebook messaging, text messages, all can be deleted, manipulated, changed. Email threads cannot. And an email thread will give you a footprint of everything that was said, everything that was promised. So if I booked you for your wedding and I said, I'm going to include pearl paper for your photo booth experience, it's in that email thread. I can refer back to it. You can refer back to it. We're both covered. If you have it in different messages or voicemail or what have you, anything that's important to you that you're supposed to have on your wedding day, make sure you get it in writing and make sure that it's by email. And I am going to close with, if you're booking a wedding planner, and you should book a wedding planner, make sure you bring them in early on the conversations with your vendors. Don't book your vendors and then bring in the wedding planner. Let them be a part of the process, even if it's just by CC, because it's a little bit frustrating for all parties, especially if you bring them in after the fact, because the wedding planner now has to go have a conversation with those vendors and get all the details. And the vendors have to repeat themselves and give all that information to the wedding planners. It's just so much easier and so easy to navigate for everyone on this journey that we're on, this map. If everything is included, and you CC'd that wedding planner and you brought them into the conversation with Dawn from Emmy Photo Booth, and they just kind of see everything that's going on. You may even want the wedding planner to handle the booking for you and the contract for you, which God bless. We love that. That's fine. But you want to make sure to bring them in early, not 2 weeks before your wedding. Oh, by the way, here's my wedding planner. Can you please repeat to her everything that I have with you and I booked with you, and the floor plan and logistics and the delivery time and everything. And it makes your vendors work harder than they need to. It makes the wedding planner work harder than they need to. And it just adds to the workflow for everyone. So CC, bring them in early, CC them, make sure they're involved and engaged in everything. And those are my 10 tips for those new gals, soonlyweds with rings on their hands. I know you're excited. I'm so excited for you. I hope that you found some helpful tips in this podcast. If you did, make sure to give us a thumbs up, a like, subscribe to our channel, share this video with a friend that's getting married, and make sure to share it with your parents too, because I think sometimes parents involved in the wedding, they don't really understand the scope of planning weddings these days. And some of these things will really help them, especially that insurance tip and that budget tip that I mentioned earlier. All right, this is Dawn Takacs coming to you from downtown Pittsburgh. This podcast is The Point. Everyone, thank you so much for being with me today. I am so grateful for you, and congratulations on your new bling. I am so excited for your journey into matrimony. So hopefully we can help you from getting the bling to flying off on your honeymoon. Bye now.